Hello, I'm Kristen from Kristen Kane Style. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for tuning in. I am a style and mindset coach, and I can help you simplify your wardrobe so that you can love getting dressed. Hello, I'm Kristen from Kristen Kane Style. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I'm so glad you're here. I am a style and mindset coach, and I can help you simplify your style so that you can create a wardrobe that you absolutely love wearing and you can look and feel amazing every single time you get dressed. If you would like my help with that, I do work one-on-one with people. Style therapy is the way we do that. There's a link down below, and that will take you to the description of style therapy, so it'll give you all the details of what's included, and then it will also take you to a link to my calendar in case you would like to book a Zoom call. We can have a little chat and you can ask me all your questions and we can see if we're a good fit. I want to help you solve your style struggles. I want to make it easy and effortless for you to get dressed and look and feel amazing. That is what style therapy does. So if you are curious, check out the link below. So today I actually want to talk about simple style and specifically how my style became my style, how I got to this place where simplicity is so important with regards to getting dressed and building my wardrobe and how I present myself to the world. It's been a long road for me, and I was not always someone who was style. It's not like I was a stylish little kid. I mean, I had a sense of style. I dressed up like a bride and played dress up with my friends, but I was not chic as a child, where actually Greta was pretty chic as a child, just kind of on her own. We do not have the same style, but she seemed to have more of an innate sense of style than I did as a kid. So it's not that this is just, how I started. And style wasn't all that important to my mother. She always looked nice. She always looked professional, as a working woman. But it's not that she paid a whole lot of attention to style. I had a grandmother who paid a little more attention to style, but I don't know that that's where I got this. I think for me, it was more a matter of retail is what I chose to work first. So in high school, I went to work for the Limited. And that was sort of my first, experience as a retail, an apparel retail employee and seeing that world and how it works. I can remember as a kid, prior to the Limited experience, my father brought home an outfit for me that he had purchased at Altman's or Bonwit Teller or somewhere where he had been traveling. And it was a long skirt, kind of elastic, kid wear, cotton, washable jersey. It was a turtleneck and a long skirt, and it was sort of cinnamon and cream colored, as I recall. And it had like old fashioned, crank telephones, like where you pick up the thing, pictures on it of some sort. And it was pattern matching, it was kind of mix and match because the top had a different pattern than the skirt, but they went together. Anyway, the skirt was longer than what everyone was wearing because that was the coming trend, but I was not ready to adopt that. And I wanted to love this. And my dad wanted me to wear it, of course, because it was a gift and he had selected it carefully and he actually had good style. I don't think he knew that it was going to be the trend, but I really resisted it. So I was not a trendsetter is my point in all of that. I wanted to be wearing the shorter skirts that my friends on the playground were all wearing. So I worked retail in high school. I worked at the Limited, and then I went to college and I studied fashion merchandising and advertising and, got to know the world of fashion a little more. I took my first trip to France, and so I was in Paris and actually in Italy and saw, was part of the fashion industry because I went with school and learned, I went to visit Missoni and learned how silk is made and, all kinds of cool things that were fashion-like. And there was a part of my experience then that made me think, I'd like to be the editor of French Vogue, or, I had these kind of big fashion dreams that I don't know that I ever wanted to work in New York in fashion, but I could imagine myself being in the world of fashion. So I had retail jobs and I worked at Bloomingdale's out of college and I worked at Neiman Marcus, and I loved being part of that world. I loved being part of the new seasons that would come in. I loved being part of trunk shows at Neiman Marcus. They were incredible, and fashion shows. And I enjoyed all of that. And at the same time, I wasn't super stylish while I was doing all of that. At Neiman Marcus, we wore suits. And so my suits were pretty boring and mainstream and navy blue and gray and black and with a different blouse on and a different necklace. And I looked nice, but I didn't have my own sense of style. And even backing up before that, in high school, I dressed like everybody else. I'm a product of the 80s. I went to high school in the 80s. And so I dressed like the rest of my friends. And I would borrow, we would swap clothing and we would shop at the Limited, and we looked pretty much the same as every other kid in the 80s with our Fair Isle sweaters and our Calvin Klein jeans when, our parents would buy those for us and our Reeboks. And so my point in all of this is style, an innate sense of style does not feel like it's where I've come from. This has been developed over the years. And yes, I have worked in retail and I've worked in fashion, so I have seen a lot, and that has definitely informed my style today. But I think what happened was I started, so then I had babies. I worked at Neiman Marcus, and then I had kids while I was working at Neiman Marcus. So I had 3 kids in close succession, and by the time Greta was 3.5, I had 2 after her. So my kids are not, they're not 3.5, they're just 3.5 years apart. And so I was in the thick of the momness, and my body had changed, and I wasn't really going anywhere where I needed to get dressed, and everything needed to be washable, and I still wanted to look cute, but I'd kind of lost my sense of style. And so about that time, a friend and I kind of made this arrangement that she would come help me sort of rearrange my house and use what I already owned in my home to kind of make rooms look better and different and fresh. And I would do the same in her wardrobe. I think maybe she was headed out on a trip or she needed some outfits for something. So I went and shopped her closet, and we had some wine and some snacks, and I pulled together outfits that she wouldn't have pulled together on her own, because we get kind of stuck the same as we get stuck in a room where, well, that picture hangs over that sofa, and that table goes next to that chair. And when someone else comes in with a fresh set of eyes, they change things around, and all of a sudden you're wowed by the fact that I would never have put those things together. I hear that all the time in my work with clients. I would never have put those things together. So sometimes that fresh set of eyes is what you need, and that kind of opened my eyes to the idea that there were other ways to wear things than what I had been doing. And my style at the time was still not my own. I was still wearing what was on a mannequin or what my friends were liking. I mean, I liked clothing and I liked magazines, and I got magazines and I looked at them, but I didn't have a clearly defined sense of my style and what I liked. I kind of wore whatever was appealing, and I would buy, new pieces without any regard for how they were going to work together. And then fast forward, 14 years after being home with kids and doing some closet work. By that time I owned a business, and I was doing a little bit of closet work with clients and helping them edit things out and pack for trips and shopping with clients. But my style still wasn't nearly as defined as it is now. It was still, it just wasn't defined. It wasn't authentic. I didn't have a really clear idea of who I was and how I wanted to look and how I wanted to show up. We moved to Colorado, and I started to work in Anthropologie. And in working at Anthropologie, I got to see, again, the retail world. After being home with kids for a while, I got to see the retail world and how it changes. And Anthropologie does such a beautiful job of displaying the merchandise and of creating the lifestyle and the idea that if you buy these clothes, you will have your home look like this and smell like this, and everything will be fabulous. And I bought into it. I would come in the front door of work on a day that I would work, and by the time I got to the stock room to put away my things, there were already 2 or 3 things that I would see on the floor that I thought I needed. I hadn't come in thinking I needed a new gray sweater. Let's be honest, I always feel like I need a new gray sweater. But I hadn't come in the door in the morning feeling like, oh, what's really missing from my wardrobe is a new blue sweater, let's say. And yet by the time I got to the stockroom, I had seen a new blue sweater on the rack or being unpacked or being moved around as they were rearranging the floor. And I was convinced that I was going to have it. And when could I try it on? When I took my break, I would try that on. And I realized that, usually by the end of that day, I would have tried it on and possibly realized that I actually didn't need it. But that came probably a little later. I think when I first started to work there, I bought a lot of things that weren't authentic, that didn't feel like me, because I didn't really know who I was and what I wanted to look like at that new stage of my life. And then I started to really pay more attention, and I would try on beautiful pieces at Anthropologie when I would work, and we would do fit sessions, and that was part of the job, was to know how the clothing fit so I could help the client, which it's a huge help to get the staff in the clothing so that they know how it fits. And I would realize I love this piece and it's not super authentic, and I don't actually feel like I need it in my wardrobe, and it doesn't really fit in my budget. I started to get a little more clear and a little more discerning on what I was willing to bring into my world. And I also think the other thing that happened is watching the new merchandise come in from a retail standpoint every single day, well, let's say 4 days a week, boxes and boxes of new merchandise being unpacked, there was just too much. And it really felt so overwhelming because I would decide to buy a blazer or a sweater or a pair of jeans or something that I absolutely loved. And then quickly that would get marked down and go on sale, and the new things would be out on the floor. And there was a mental game there where I would feel like I was behind or that I needed the next new thing, when in reality, that's not true at all. And so for me, all of those little steps along the way led to this place of, I want to love the clothing in my closet. I want to buy pieces that I can wear season after season after season and feel really amazing in. Not wear them season after season after season because I invested them and now I feel guilty and I want to make sure I get my money's worth. But because I invested in them and I really love them, I want to wear them multiple ways, multiple seasons. And so that, last retail stop for me, I was at Anthropologie 8 years, and that last retail stop for me really opened my eyes to the excess. I love Anthropologie. I still love Anthropologie. I have dear friends from Anthropologie. I loved all the retail places that I worked. And I believe in the power of retail. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you also know that I believe in the power of secondhand and of resale shopping and of utilizing the incredible merchandise that is already out there from all the seasons that retailers have, put merchandise on the floor and marked it down, and it ends up in a secondhand shop. And so I'm not saying don't buy new. I still buy new. It's just my style became more simple. I'm asked all the time, how did you get this style? How did you, define your style so well? How did you realize what was most authentic? I realized that at Anthropologie specifically, I was buying the pieces that were the most simple. I was not buying the statement, kind of what Anthro's known for, that really special garment that had lots of embellishment or lots of detail or a very unusual shape. I was waiting till the plain black blazer came in, or the plain cream sweater, or the really great denim, and I was buying those pieces. So it started to, inform me that I actually don't love all of this stuff on a garment. I don't love getting dressed and having it be complex so that I have to decide if this sleeve is going to fit under this blazer. I want to be able to put on a t-shirt with a blazer that I know is going to work underneath, and a great pair of jeans and a pair of shoes and a necklace, and go, whatever that might look like for me on any given day. But I don't want it to be complicated. And I am much happier in really simple, clean lines and nice fabrics and colors that I know work. So for me, that's cream and gray and navy and some brighter blues and a little bit of pink here and there and maybe a little red and black. And that's really all I wear. I don't have any plum. I don't have any lavender. It's too much work. And I really decided that I want to be lazy about this. I want it to be so easy that I don't get tripped up. That doesn't mean I don't ever buy a beautiful, more intricately detailed blouse, or that I don't buy a blazer that has a pattern, or I don't occasionally buy sort of a way out different shaped denim, because I do. And I know where home base is for me. I know what my kind of baseline is. And so I stick with what I know works. And then if I want to step out of that a little bit, I know what's authentic for me and I know how far to push it. And so, just to kind of answer the question of how did my style get so simple, I think it was a lot of years in retail, and it was, learning how to dress again at different stages in my life, whether it be, post childbearing years, or, changing body after menopause, or changing, not being in a more corporate environment and working for myself. I realized what matters to me is that my clothing is simple and that my life is supported by what's in my closet, that it doesn't make my life more difficult to go in and try to get dressed. And I can actually say genuinely at this point, my life is not made more difficult by my clothing. I know that I can walk in my closet and get dressed within seconds to pretty much go anywhere. Now, maybe a date night might take me a little longer because that's not something I'm in really good practice at, and I haven't been doing that, especially over the last couple of years, very much. So my date clothes could probably use a little elevating, but I could still get dressed for a date within a few minutes and feel like I looked like myself and pretty awesome. I just wanted it to be simpler. And so I find that more and more my clients come to me and say that, like, I've tried this on my own, and I've tried buying the things that my favorite store keeps putting out season after season, and I'm not building a wardrobe that feels fabulous and functional. It's not supporting me the way I need it to when I want to go on a trip, I still feel like I have to shop because what I have isn't working, you know, and I get it. I get it. And the reason I do what I do is because I now am at a place where I get that a simple wardrobe actually makes getting dressed and feeling and looking amazing in your clothes so much easier. So I got here by a lot of trial and error. And the reason that I offer style therapy and work with women one-on-one is because I have done all the trial and error, and I can get you from where you are now, which is overwhelmed with your wardrobe, to a place where your style is whatever that looks like for you. It does not have to mean that you wear the clothing, the colors that I wear, or the styles or the shapes that I wear. It just means that there is a simple version of style for you that will really look and feel amazing on you. And the work that I do is help you get there. And I love it. And part of the reason that I love it so much right now is because I've finally gotten there myself. And so it is much easier for me. I worked in closets and fitting rooms way back when I wore suits at Neiman Marcus. So it's not that I can't help another woman find great pieces and create great outfits and have great style. It's that now I finally understand kind of that deeper layer of how to really dress authentically and how to help a woman find that for herself, so that then her wardrobe is just a support tool for the life that she lives. So if you'd like my help, Style Therapy is linked below, all the details and a link to my calendar, and we can hop on a call and see if it's something you'd like to try. Because I promise you that the further down you simplify, the easier and better it is, and the better you look and the better you feel. That's all I have for you today. I will be back next Friday with another video. I am on Instagram every Tuesday doing a live Q&A at noon Mountain Time. If you would like to join me over there, please come check it out. Instagram, I share different stuff because obviously it's shorter bits and kind of in the moment. So if you're not already following me over there, I'd love to have you join me. If you have a question for me for over on the Instagram Q&A, you can write it down below and just make a note that it's for the Instagram Q&A, and I will add it over there. They all get recorded, so if you can't attend live, you can watch them. They're in my feed in the videos, and that's all I got for you today. I hope you have a beautiful week. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate the support. This community is, one of the highlights of my week is interacting with all of you in the comments. So thank you. Have a beautiful week. I'll see you next Friday.